It's Thursday night, and we're back live on the Big Mountain.
Hey, great to have you back on the Big Mountain live on a Thursday night, a little bit of a special night. Hopefully our last one. Hopefully we'll be back on Wednesdays here for most of the playoffs and then the offseason. I almost jumped over the playoffs and went right to the offseason.
See, the second season.
What the freaking heck am I talking about?
Got our playoff beers.
We do. I'm ready to go. And we got quite a list tonight. Usually, we've been doing just maybe picks, maybe a little bit of discussion, but we're going back to the old ways of doing things. We've got a lot of stuff we want to do, and we have our first ever, hopefully, our inaugural, and then it will become annual TBM awards. I'm excited.
I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So we'll get to them here in a little bit. We're going to start with our picks, like we always do. Of course, we've got the Army-Navy game. And then we've got some bowl picks that we got to do. So how we'll handle this for bowl picks, we'll do our live shows once a week. We'll go through that whole week whenever the games are played. We'll pick as many as we have to until we get to that other week. So as we know, bowls are played all over the place. They're not always on a weekend. They're during the week. So we'll do our best to try and get all of the upcoming week's picks out in our weekly episode.
You know what I like the most about our TBM awards?
What's that?
The fact that it's not the it's not the media narrative. It's not who ESPN wants to promote. It's the people that we pick.
Yes.
Our Big Mountain teams, our Big Ten, Mountain West. And even we there were some Step Knowles and some Pac teams in consideration.
That's right.
So it's instead of just a media narrative, we watch the games. You watch pretty much all the Mountain West games. I watch pretty much all the Big Ten games. We are locked into those two conferences.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be some players on there that win some awards that they might not be getting that attention on ESPN and from that national media. So I'm really excited about it.
Good point. Yes, they are all Big Mountain teams, as we will call them. So, well, let's get to the first pick, Steve. We've got the Army-Navy game. This is near and dear to your heart.
For sure.
And I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah, so I think, for everybody knows, I was, I think all of our Mountain Dwellers know by now, I was in the Navy for 22 years, retired as a Navy chief. So near and dear to my heart, this game. I've been to the game, I think 3 times. Just an amazing experience. And I got to go in uniform on active duty, which was cool. But for anybody who gets to go, if you have any family members who have ever served or you're just interested in going, it's an awesome game, awesome experience. I'm glad they're able to continue to do this as one of the greatest traditions. And I saw CBS just renewed the deal for like 10 more years or something.
I saw that too.
To do this game. So it's a long tradition. It's going to be continuing. Both teams were solid this year, but Army, I think, definitely probably is and should be the favorite coming in. They went, I think, 11-1 and then won the American Conference Championship, and I mean they were a really good team this year.
Yes,
their only blemish was to a Notre Dame kind of a juggernaut team that's going to be in the college football playoff. Navy, good season too. They had some bumps and bruises as well, so it should be a good game. Are we ready to pick?
I'm ready to pick. If you're before we do, shout out that college football guy says it's Thirsty Thursday, and I completely agree. I'm thirsty. And we have JEH. He's a retired Army. We'll see who we're picking here. And I don't know if you're going homer pick or if you're going football pick, but let's get to the pick.
Well, before I make my pick, JEH, congrats, brother. Yes. Here's to you. And everyone has served. I'm going to go. So what I decided to do, I think Army's going to win this game. I am taking Navy plus 6.5 only because I think it'll be a low-scoring game. I think it'll be a close game. These kind of always are. They always go by a field goal or whatever most years. Even there was a lot of years where Navy was really, really good.
Yeah.
And Army didn't have a great record, but they came in and they either upset Navy or went down to a last-minute thing. So I'm looking for a low-scoring, close game, so I'm taking Navy plus the points, but I do think Army's going to win the game. I think they're the better team this year.
I'm taking Army minus 6.5. I think they are easily the better team this year. And Bryson Daly is phenomenal. And I actually think they put up a lot of points. I think Army's going to put up a lot of points. Maybe Navy. I don't know what Navy's going to do, but I think Army's going to put up a lot of points. So I'm happy to take them covering the 6.5. I apologize, but I know JEH will be happy because I will be saying, go Army, beat Navy.
Well, when the service academies are playing, there's no losers. They're all winners.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. And again, great tradition. And I'm going with go Navy, beat Army. But again, Mr. Ed there, retired YN1 submarine service, the silent service. Here's to you, sir.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right, well, that's the Army-Navy game. The last, I guess you would call it, regular season game of the year. I think I called the San Jose State Hawaii game the last one, but that's not true because of the Army-Navy game.
Yes.
This is a special game, though. But
special game.
Still regular season, I guess they would consider.
Well,
that.
I think
still an American game, isn't it?
Well, I'm not exactly sure because they changed the rules this year where even if they would have played each other in the regular season or in the championship game, they would play this game separate.
Okay.
So I'm not exactly sure how they're handling that as far as statistics.
I think it was the championship game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good point. So anyway, let's get to our bowls. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bowls that we're going to be picking. We are in to bowl season. So the first one is actually an FCS bowl. There's only a few of them, but we're going to pick all the bowls. There's a line for this. So we're going to pick the Celebration Bowl, Steve. This is South Carolina State versus Jackson State. I know you know a lot about these teams.
Yeah.
The line is 2.5 for South Carolina State. This is always the, what is it? The MEAC champ versus the SWAC champ.
The MEAC versus the SWAC.
SWAC, yes. So Jackson State had a great season. They're 11-2 coming in. And South Carolina State 9-2 coming in. And what do you think?
I don't really have much to say about this game. I think another good like traditional game. I'm glad they're playing it. I'm going with South Carolina State to cover the 2.5 points. Don't really know why, other than they're the favorite, and I think they're going to win the game. So we're going to go with them to cover.
Well, I got 2 reasons why.
Okay, you
and I'm agreeing with you. I'm taking the University of South Carolina State, or is it South Carolina State University?
South Carolina
Whatever
State
it is.
University.
South Carolina State University. I'm taking them for 2 reasons. Number 1, I think they have the better quarterback in Eric Phoenix. And number 2, I'm going on the odds here because the MEAC has been 6-2 over the last 8 years over the SWAC. So I'm going on history, 6-2. The MEAC has been better in this bowl game, and so I'm going to ride that momentum with South Carolina State.
Very cool. I like it.
All right, you ready for the next second one?
Yep, let's go.
The Salute to the Veterans Bowl. We're all about veterans here tonight.
Yep.
Hell, I should have worn an American flag hat or something.
Yeah.
Talking Army Navy. Now we're talking Salute to the Veterans, or to Veterans Bowl. This is South Alabama versus Western Michigan. What do you think?
Yeah, so this game, I did do a little bit of research. Boy, South Alabama, looking at them this year and what they've done, they're a very good, solid team.
Yes.
Western Michigan's okay, but I have some doubts about them. So I'm going with South Alabama to cover the 7.5. I think they win by double digits, honestly. I think sometimes the point spreads in these bowls, they put them close just to kind of see where the line goes.
Yeah.
So you don't know exactly who's going to show up. But I am taking South Alabama to cover the 7.5. And like I said, I think they win by double digits.
I agree. I am also taking South Alabama, and this is the University of South Alabama. I got that right, USA. At minus 7.5, I think they are absolutely the better team here. They have a very powerful offense. Both teams are, and I'll say this probably for every game. They're going to be missing players because of injuries and transfers. And some teams have a lot of transfers, and you're going to hear me talk about this a little bit later. And they actually have a history of, even though they're going into the transfer portal, they actually play in the game. Some coaches do a better job of convincing, if you will, I don't know, of their players to actually play. But Western Michigan, they struggled down the stretch here. They did not play well the second half of the season. So I think South Alabama is just the stronger team. They're playing better football. And I agree with you. I am taking USA minus 7.5 in the Salute to Veterans Bowl. All right, maybe the biggest bowl. We have 2 pretty big ones. This is one of them. Frisco Bowl. We've got Memphis, who ended up being a ranked team here at the end of the season, versus West Virginia. West Virginia just firing their head coach. West Virginia going to be missing a lot of key players here. So a lot of question marks on one side of this. I don't know which way you're going to go. Any thoughts on these teams?
Well, first of all, with the new coach coming in is a recycled coach, Rich Rodriguez. Rich Rod, probably the most successful coach in our kind of lifetime, or as long as we've been watching football, at West Virginia. He's gonna, they say you can't go back, you can't go home again. Well, he's coming home again, back to West Virginia, but that's not going to affect this game. And so, like you said, West Virginia missing a lot of people. Memphis, probably the better team anyways, and it looks like they should be able to have more of their roster intact. I'm taking Memphis to cover the 3.5, and I almost locked this one. I'm not doing any locks, but I darn near locked this one because I think Memphis wins by definitely more than a touchdown, maybe into double digits is my expectation. So I'm definitely going with Memphis to cover that 3.5. I was a little surprised by the line, but again, I think Vegas is just kind of keeping those lines tight because you don't know and just kind of see where it goes to keep the money coming in on both sides.
Well, we're going to agree a lot this evening because I'm also taking Memphis at -4.5. I agree with you. I was surprised the line was as low as it is. It's about 3 points. I would think 7.5 would be more of the line. But I hear you, double digits possibly. I think Memphis, they're a very solid team. They have a good offense. Had a couple hiccups throughout the season, but they're coming into this game, to me, a better team and probably with a lot more of their players. They, of course, want to be beating a team that's in the Power Four. WVU, good team. I'm not sure if they have a ton to play for in this game, and so I'm with you. I'm taking the Tigers. I have to give a shout out. We have a UC Davis fan chiming in.
Right.
What the newest addition, at least announcement to the Mountain West. So welcome UC Davis.
The traveling Urquidez.
There you have it. I wasn't going to say it because I don't know how to pronounce it.
There was, being in the military, I had a guy stationed with me. He was from Texas, and I believe they pronounce it Urquidez. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, the traveling Urquidez, UC Davis fan. Very awesome. And you just did an episode, right?
We just did an episode yesterday, deep dive into UC Davis. And I'm sure this fan either saw me on X, I've been posting a lot on X, or maybe saw our YouTube content as well. And of course, we welcome you to the Mountain West. And we're going to get to some Mountain West items later in this episode as well. I want to talk about UC Davis. I want to talk about NIU. I want to talk about GCU. So there's some things we're going to talk about with the Mountain West here a little later.
So that college football guy, he chimed in and said this is a non-con game.
Yeah.
And I remember I was reading, but this was like at the beginning of the season when both teams were doing really well. They were saying with this, the way the new deal is, sometimes they could end up playing each other 3 times because they could be scheduled regularly for a conference game. They could meet in the AAC championship game, and then they're also, no matter what happens, they're going to do this game on this week as a standalone game. So pretty interesting.
We got a lot of people liking the Memphis pick here. Yeah. John is back. Welcome back to one of our live shows. Glad you could join us again. Of course, we've got Steven. We've got, is it Drago? Let's go UNLV. We're going to get to that pick here very, very shortly. Of course, that college football guy, JEH. Bill, Surf City Bill. Mr. Ed is here. Got a bunch of our normal mountain dwellers. Love to have you on. Keep those chats coming. We're going to go to our next game, the Boca Raton Bowl. WKU versus JMU. And, I talked about teams that have a lot of people in the transfer portal, WKU being one of them, Western Kentucky. They have some serious injuries. They have a lot of players that have opted into the transfer portal. But this is a team and a coach that seems to get his players to play in bowl games. So we'll see if that continues here. I struggle here. JMU continues to be a great team. Mm-hmm. We weren't sure exactly what was going to happen with them losing some of their players and, of course, losing Signetti and some of the coaching staff. But they came back and had a great season again. So what are you thinking here, Steve? The line is 8.5.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I think Western Kentucky, they're going to be without some players from what I heard.
Yeah.
Some injuries, some people leaving, whatever. We'll see what they bring along. All indications for me is that JMU will have most of their roster together.
Yeah.
And I think they're that scrappy program that's still trying to prove themselves at this level. I think the team this year really wanted to show that, they weren't just a flash in the pan with Signetti, that they're still there. They're still going to be competitive. I like the way they played this season. To me, I'm going with JMU to cover the 8.5. I think this game's going to be all JMU. I think they have more to play for, more to prove. Just kind of keeping things together and just building that. I think this will be another opportunity for them to build momentum going into next year. So I like JMU by double digits, and I'm taking them to cover the 8.5.
I'm with you. I'm taking JMU. strong team. I like Western Kentucky though. I've liked them all year. But I just think JMU, they still have, I think they still think they have something to prove. You know, they're still kind of the new kid on the block. Yeah, they made a big splash coming in, but they want to continue that momentum. So I'm with you. I'm taking JMU minus 8.5. I see we have a Lobo fan on. Mario, welcome to the channel if this is your first time here. And you know what I'm going to do, Steve? I'm going to say something I don't usually say.
Okay.
Make sure you hit the like button.
Okay.
Because people like to hit the like button.
Hit the like button.
We like people to like us. So, all right, Steve, the last one.
And even if you're already a subscriber,
Yeah.
you can't hit the like button too many times. I mean, every video if you want.
That's right.
Just hit that button.
Just hit the button, yeah.
Okay.
And so the LA Bowl here, Cal versus UNLV. I know we have some UNLV fans on. And just turnover here. Although they had fantastic news come out today. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that maybe in a little bit. I don't want to talk about it quite yet because we're making the pick. Although you can talk about it if you'd like to during the pick. But, you know, lots of different things going on with both of these teams. Everybody knows what's happening with the coaching staff with UNLV. You know, Odom's out. He's on to Purdue. Mm-hmm. Marion's kind of scrubbed his accounts. You know, so the coaching staff has had some turnover. I've also seen that some of the stars for UNLV may opt out. I haven't seen confirmation on this. I hope they don't. But I saw specifically White and Woodard. You know, Woodard is the star linebacker there. Ricky White, the star wide receiver there. I will say, I just saw a video right before coming on. They named Malik Williams a captain for this game, which is fantastic. I think he is an outstanding character. I think he's a great student athlete, young man. I mean, he's a man for crying out loud. Yeah. And I was so happy to see that. And so I put a lot, I think a lot will be put on his shoulders, but I think being in Southern California, not in Boise, Idaho, will help UNLV here in this game. What are you thinking, Steve? What are you thinking about the game?
So I'm making this pick on the assumption that Williams will be starting. So assuming that, and yeah, there's probably going to be a couple players that sit out, but honestly, I mean this team they had a really good season.
Yeah.
You know, they came up a little short against the same team twice. A really, really good Boise team. It's a quick turnaround. This bowl is a quick turnaround from the end of the season, which I think is going to help them have more of their players. They're still in that mode. They're still in that locker room with their teammates. So I'm all over UNLV. I love the fact that they're getting the points. I'm taking UNLV plus 1.5. And again, assuming Williams is going to be the starting quarterback and play. And I put money on this game on the money line. I like UNLV to win straight up.
Yeah.
I'm all over UNLV, and I think this will be a good opportunity for most of the guys on the roster. Yeah, there might be 2 or 3, maybe a handful of players that sit out to put an exclamation point on this awesome season that they had. Go with their brothers, do it one more time. And watching Cal this season, I really think they kind of faded down the stretch. And I just like UNLV better overall as a team. I like what they have, and I think they'll have enough to win this game straight up.
I think they'll have a more, assuming these players play, White. They have tons of running backs, so I'm not concerned about their running game, and they have a very good running game, especially with Malik Williams playing, and they have other good receivers. Don't get me wrong; it's not just Ricky White, but Ricky White's a special talent. But I put my money on Malik Williams here. I'm with you. I'm taking UNLV, and yes, I saw JEH mentioned this. I wanted to say this too. Cal starting QB Mendoza has entered the portal. I highly doubt a QB that's in the portal is going to be playing in a game. I like UNLV's offense here on this, so I'm with you on the straight up. With it being this close, 1.5, you're going to get better odds. Taking the money line here, so get those little bit of better odds if you like them to win. So we've agreed a lot here on our first round of bowl. Actually, we agreed on every bowl.
Yeah.
We disagreed on the Army-Navy game. But yeah, I really like this one. I think of all the ones we talked about, Steve, I will be betting for sure UNLV. You mentioned that you are as well. I think I'm also going to be betting Memphis. I haven't done it yet, but I think I'll be betting Memphis. I don't think I'm going to bet the other games.
Yeah, those are the 2 games I've bet so far. As soon as I saw that UNLV was the was the underdog, and I had seen some that the quarterback should play, I was like, I'm jumping all over UNLV.
Yes.
So and Memphis.
Yeah.
So I've already bet those games. I think they're pretty good. And like I said, I felt I almost locked Memphis. That was the one I came close, and I just said, well, I'm not going to do any locks. So you guys, our Mountain Dwellers, if you're able to put in bets, you can take that. as you will there, didn't lock Memphis, but boy, do I feel good about Memphis and UNLV.
Yep, for sure. All right, well, those were our picks. We got a big slate of items. Let's get to our next item, our first annual Big Mountain Awards. Awesome. All right, let's do this.
Let's do it.
I'm so excited.
Yep.
We've got players, and we're going to start with a coach. The coach of the year for the Big Mountain, Steve, coming out of your Big Ten, coming out of the team you told everybody in the preseason to bet and be aware of, the Indiana Hoosiers Coach of the Year, Curt Cignetti.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he led this wire to wire all season, and both of us were very. Yes, I said look for Indiana this year. I think I had them going 8-4, maybe 9-3. They went even better, and the reason both of you and I were very strong on Curt Cignetti coming in, just his track record. Yeah. He wins everywhere. Just a fantastic coach, and he even over delivered. I mean, he made some big promises this year, and I think he over delivered. So 11-1, they're going to be in the playoff. That team, I mean, just every week. Not only were they winning games, but they were putting it to people. They didn't just squeak through with an 11-1 record. Michigan gave them a little bit of trouble. Michigan had, were defending national champion with almost all their defense back. And obviously when they played Ohio State, there was just a little bit of a talent differential there. The game kind of got away, but still 11-1. They're in the college football playoff. They've done something that Indiana, has not done in our lifetime. Just a fantastic season, a great coach. In Curt Cignetti, we trust, and I expect them to do great things going forward. To me, this was the easiest of all the awards.
I agree with you. I've known the name Cignetti since my time at IUP. His father was a coach there, big name at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. So he knows he knows the Indianas really well, Pennsylvania and the state of, but. And then when he moved to JMU, I kind of lost track of him when he was at Elon for a little bit, and then I saw him come to JMU, and I went, oh, this will be good. I wish him the best. And he didn't need me wishing him the best. He kicked ass at JMU, and he continued to kick ass all the way into Indiana. And I would say he wasn't surprised that they only lost one game because he was telling Ohio State and Michigan that they suck at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I love it. I do want to add, I think you can take from him the job that he's done and what they've done. I think you can take some bigger picture. I think he's kind of setting the blueprint for this new era. He came into a Big Ten program and, like we said, created basically a G5 all-star team.
Right.
So for those that think there are not good players at the G5 level, well, Curt Cignetti will tell you bullshit because he put together an awesome roster who came, a tiebreaker from being in the Big Ten championship game. He has set the blueprint for what you can do in this era.
Well, and to that point, when you look at the Heisman finalists, I saw on X, they showed where these four players started, and they were all started. Now, one started at Boise and still at Boise, so Ashton's been there the whole time. But the other guys started at a G5 or an FCS school, and now look at where they're at. So the talent is everywhere, and that's why I like following the G6, because the talent is there. They don't get the notoriety and the national attention that the power conferences do, but I'm telling you, the talent there is fantastic. So let's get the quarterback of the year.
Okay, let's go.
We're not going very far.
All right.
We're staying in the Big Ten. We're staying with the Indiana Hoosiers. And we are picking for the quarterback of the year, Curtis Rourke.
Yeah, same theme there, man. Just a guy who, he comes from Ohio. Both you and I liked him a lot when he was at Ohio. Performed really well. I'm sure Steven loved him there. Was just a great quarterback at Ohio. Moves up to Indiana with Coach Cignetti and comes in and he lit up the Big Ten. Nobody was stopping him. The only thing that stopped him this year was a thumb injury and all of Ohio State's 5-star defensive ends that were just unblocked, But other than that, he completely torched the entire Big Ten. He was efficient. He led explosive offense. And to me, what did we say coming into this season? I said I thought he was an NFL-ready quarterback before the season even started. And he showed that. I think he'll be able to walk into an NFL team next year. He maybe doesn't have that high end that some guys with like amazing arm strength or whatever, but he can make all the throws.
Right.
He's prepared. He's ready to go. He's a field general. He's smart.
Yeah.
He's cool under fire. There was a couple games, and I can't remember which game it was, where he threw a couple picks early in the game, maybe even a pick six, and then just boom, just kept coming back and leading Indiana on scoring drive after scoring drive. Just a fantastic season. To me, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. We could have taken the easy path with Dylan Gabriel.
Right.
Okay. But what we said was we wanted to do something a little bit different, and it's great to recognize Curtis Rourke. I think, again, the same theme, start in the G5. He moves his way up, does a great, great thing with the opportunity he has, and he's going to be in the NFL.
Well, and by the end of the season, I said, where's Curtis Rourke's love with the Heisman discussion? And by the very end of the season, finally, on FanDuel, of the top, I believe it was 6 or 7 players that they gave odds for, Curtis Rourke was finally on that list, and rightfully so. And nothing to take away from Gabriel, to your point. Fantastic quarterback. But the story of Curtis, how he plays, we both had to give it to him, and I know Steven is saying well deserved as well.
Yes.
So.
And I'll just one last point on him. He had that thumb injury during the season. I think he missed one game, missed a half of that game, and missed the next game. I believe they were saying on TV that he had surgery. So to come back and finish strong, just amazing. I really think if he wouldn't have had that thumb injury, he would have at least been on a stage in New York for this Heisman ceremony.
Sheila, no, we don't think they're going to win the Natty. But we like their coach and we like their quarterback.
I think they could. So here's their path. They got to beat Notre Dame in the first round. I think that's possible. I think Notre Dame, they're beatable. And then I forget who their next round would be, and maybe Georgia. So Georgia is in their bracket. Georgia is the strong team in their bracket.
Yeah, because Penn State is the Boise side.
Correct.
Oregon is the Ohio State side. And I think you're right.
So the Georgia team, where their starting quarterback is out for at least a month or so. Yeah. Torn ligaments, I think, in his arm and may not even play.
Yeah.
And this is a Georgia team that's been upset this year. They've got weaknesses. I'm not ruling them out that they can't. I mean, I could see a path to the semifinal where they would play the winner of likely either Penn State or Boise.
Right.
Which would, I mean, how awesome of a semifinal would that be? Indiana versus either Penn State or Boise.
That'd be awesome.
Very cool.
Nobody thinks that's going to happen. Heard it here first. There if it does.
There you go.
And Steven confirmed they do play Georgia. So, all right. So let's get to our running back of the year. No surprise here for anybody. Of course, we're taking from the Mountain West, from the Boise State Broncos, Heisman Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty, phenomenal talent. Should win the Heisman. I have Heisman on the end of our topic list. We can bitch about that a little bit later on if we want to. But my goodness, a kid that started at Boise is still at Boise. I'm so glad that he stayed at Boise. And he is Boise. Like, Boise would not be in the... I'm not saying they wouldn't be in the CFP. They wouldn't be the 3 seed in the CFP without Ashton Jeanty. I can tell you that for sure. And, I questioned his health going into the championship game. He looked great in the championship game.
Yep.
He gets a couple extra weeks here. I'm expecting big things from him here in the CFP. Not saying Boise's going to win. Definitely not saying Boise's going to win the Natty. But I think he's going to perform very, very well. He is on the Heisman stage, which we talked about in the preseason. Yep. We said, this kid to get on the stage would be phenomenal. Well, guess what? He's not just on the stage. He has a legit shot of winning the Heisman and is my Heisman #1 candidate. I'm not a big... I shouldn't say that. I understand Hunter. I understand what he does. However, when you look at the scope of work, you look at the historical numbers he's putting up, you look at what he means to his team, you look at the fact that they won a championship and they're in the CFP. Yes, I think that should matter. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I'll stop.
No, I agree with a lot of things you said. So first of all, I'm going to go back in time like you did. Last year, pretty much at this time, December, January timeframe, we were saying next year, Jeanty will be a true Heisman contender. And everyone said, there's no way a Mountain West G5 player is actually going to contend for the Heisman. Yeah. Well, he spent at least half the season as the favorite this year until the media really clamped down and decided who they wanted to win,
right,
in my opinion. And honestly, I don't necessarily want to put someone down. I think for me, I think Travis Hunter is a bit of a gimmick. I don't think he's one of the top 10 wide receivers in the country. And I don't think he's one of the top 10 defensive backs in the country. But the fact that he plays both, I think, it's great. It's awesome at the college level. I don't see him being effective doing that at the NFL. But the Heisman's not about that. It's about the season he's had. And so you got to give him props for that.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But to me, Genty is the clear, this is the running back award. He's the clear best.
Yeah.
I think he's the best overall player in the country, but the clear best running back in the country. And I don't think, you mentioned that they might not be in the playoff. I don't think they would, because I don't think they would have beat UNLV.
That's
without
true. Good
Genty.
point.
So, definitely the best running back in the country. And to me, the question is, where does he fit in with the all-time greats? You were tweeting out different things, and it shows, a lot of those Heisman Trophy winners that are some of the all-time greatest running backs in college football history. He's right there with them. And he did, and people say, oh, well, he played in the Mountain West. Well, he had one of his best games this year against Oregon, who's the number 1 team in the country, has had a top 10 defense basically all year. So you can't say it's just because he was in the Mountain West. He did the same thing against the best competition. The dude is just clearly the best running back in the country. And to me, the question is, where does he fit in on the all-time greats?
I agree. We have a minor in the house. Ricardo says, go UTEP. We got 2 of our new Mountain West members. We've got a UC Davis fan in the house. We've got a UTEP fan in the house. To make the trifecta, I need a Grand Canyon fan in the house. So if you're watching and you're a Grand Canyon fan, say hello. And we got the trifecta of new Mountain West members, and we're going to talk about the Mountain West here in a few minutes.
So it looks like Ricardo Trevino. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah, we've been pushing since the Mountain West started looking at expansion to get into Texas. The first step was UTEP. I think it was a great move. We were both very in favor of that. And I'd like to see them get in another school in Texas. We'll see. But for now, it's awesome having UTEP as part of the Mountain West.
John says, bet Genty to win the statue. I have 2 bets on Genty to win the statue, and I am so hopeful that he does. Not because I want money, which is nice, but because I think the kid should win the freaking Heisman.
Yeah.
That's why I want him to win the statue. Big Mama has made it. Go Clemson. Mm-hmm. Big Mama, I gave you a shout out when we were going over these games. Yep. I ate my crow. I shall eat it again for you. I apologize, and I thank you for not throwing eggs at my house. All right. So let's go to number 4, the wide receiver of the year on a team that I doubted. And oh, did I doubt mightily in the beginning of this year. And they proved me mightily wrong. Nick Nash from the San Jose State Spartans. Yes, I know there are some great Big Ten receivers. Nick Nash being at the top of the stats for almost the entire season for the country, not the Mountain West,
right.
The entire country. He is amazing. If you're a Big Ten fan or you haven't watched the Spartans this year, take my word for it. This dude is amazing. He'll catch just about anything thrown his way, and the quarterbacks weren't great for the Spartans, but they got him the ball, and he made the plays, and he was their MVP. I mean, their passing game was kind of all they had, and they went through different quarterbacks because they couldn't figure out which quarterback could not throw an interception. Well, who was Mr. Steady and Mr. Standby? It was Nick Nash, and he gets our 4th award of the evening.
Yep.
And you love him because you call it the Gash and Nash out there in San Jose.
The Nash and Gash.
Or the Nash and
offense.
Gash. I flip-flopped it.
Yeah, I coined that term early in the season. It didn't pick up on the national networks like I thought it would, but I'm
Keep
still
saying it someday.
I'm still going with it. That Nash and Gash offense. I mean, the dude just meant so much to his team. He was that catalyst, that driver, and he's a finalist for the national award. I guess maybe they're doing him on ESPN tonight. So he was a finalist for the National Wide Receiver of the Year award, and I think he needs some love. And so he is definitely our Big Mountain wide receiver of the year.
Yes, for sure. Well, I think well deserved. You love the guy, and you coined the phrase for the guy
right away.
Out loud. And I'm supposed to be the Mountain West guy, and you were all over that.
Dude is amazing. I remember there was an early season game where I watched them. I can't remember who they played. It might have been Sac State
Yeah, Sac State.
Yeah, and
that
oh
was.
my God.
He went off the freaking.
Yes.
And I picked Sac State
Yes.
thinking they were going to have a better passing game.
Yes.
And my, was I wrong?
Oh, dude, yeah, just totally went off, and that's when I coined the Nash and Gash offense,
Yes.
because he was just freaking gashing them.
He gashed them.
Yeah.
And especially in the second half. They
Yes.
went off.
Yep.
Just Justin, you're not just Justin. You are a Polk fan, and of course you're welcome on the Big Mountain. Of course, a house full of Polk fans would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for saying hello. No Bill, Surf City Bill. We are not changing the name. It will not be known as the Big Pack Mountain. Nope. We're just the Big Mountain.
Big Mountain.
But you know, being a Boise fan and JEH being a B fan, we're following the pack. It'll be a little more difficult, I think, next year because they're not playing the Mountain West teams. So I'll have to see how that flows. But certainly, when things happen with the pack, it's been quiet in terms of additions, in terms of media, all that kind of stuff. But I have a funny feeling when the dam breaks for them, it's really going to come loud and heavy. And we'll be sure to be on it for the Pack fans as well. But I'll tell you what, Steve, I'm struggling to keep up with the Mountain West right now. There's a lot going on.
So much going on. Mountain West we're in the fury of the storm for the Mountain West. The Pack is, I think, that quiet before the storm. We'll see.
All right. Well, we got a Huskies fan, NIU. We're going to get to NIU here in a little bit. I asked for the trifecta. This could be is it quadfecta? Yeah. Whatever the hell that is. Whenever NIU comes out and says, we're a member of the Mountain West, which I believe is going to be coming soon. That's my opinion. But we'll get to more Mountain West stuff.
I have a question for Eric. Eric, have you seen our map? You got to respect the map. Find us on Twitter, X, whatever, and check out the map. We first posted it, a couple months ago?
That was all you, too.
And we had NIU. Well, I found the map for you. You added some stuff.
Yes. I added some graphics.
Yes.
I just had a new one. Well, I put it on yesterday's video.
Yes.
Because right. I started with UC Davis for a while. I talked a little NIU, and then I put the map back up again.
The map has been very instructive to where the Mountain West should be going. See, that's the problem. We gave the Mountain West the map. Right. The Pack is not following the map. You know, they don't have our map yet. So,
JEH, you're not allowed to send that to the Pack, by the way. All right, let's get to the defensive side of the ball. We've got the defensive lineman of the year coming from the Big Ten. We got to mix this up, and we're not just doing this because we mix it up, but we do think this is one of or the best national lineman coming out of Steve's Penn State University. Abdul Carter.
Yeah, just a fantastic season. He moved. Bolitnikoff was for wide receiver. But Abdul Carter moves from linebacker to defensive end this year. Wasn't even a starter at the very beginning because he was still learning the position. And boy, oh boy, as the season has gone on, he has absolutely terrified opposing quarterbacks, terrorized those quarterbacks. They're probably terrified for a week before, every night when they go to sleep. He ended up with, I think, 11 sacks in the regular season. Their last game of the year, he just totally went off. And honestly, he'd have a lot more sacks, but in the Big Ten, they hold on almost every play, and the referees are like, well, we're not calling holding. Somehow there were 0 holding calls in the Big Ten championship game. But whatever, just great season for Abdul Carter. He's going to make himself a lot of money. I think he's going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. Great player. Probably should have been a defensive end from the get-go, but Penn State kind of has this history of, and they did it with Micah Parsons, starting them at linebacker, letting them learn the defense, letting them learn how to play football, make tackles, move within the defense, and then letting them pin their ears back and go rush the quarterback, which Micah did, in his last year a bit, still at the linebacker position, but he rushed quarterback a lot more. Well, Abdul Carter, they move him up to defensive end, and he was just a stud in that position.
Well, he's been doing it for several years. I mean, this isn't a one year thing. He has been the stud there for Penn State for a while, as you say. So very well deserved. Yes.
John Hawk says, my man number 11, Stick City, baby, Stick City.
I don't even know what that means.
It's whoever wears the 11. LeVar Arrington.
Oh.
And a whole long history. Navarro Bowman.
This is why I'm the Mountain West guy,
yes.
And you're the Big Ten Penn State guy. John knows what the hell he's talking about.
Whoever wears the sticks, that's the dude on defense. And Abdul Carter was the dude.
Okay, I did know about that. I guess I didn't remember the number was 11.
Yeah.
But
Stick City.
So, okay, Stick City. Yes, Mario. This is a beer. This is Thursday. Thirsty Thursday. That's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
But it's always happy hour on the mountain. So when we do our live shows, JY 90% of the time enjoys a beverage. He still has some good old Oktoberfest, which is his faves. I still have a few that I'm holding. I'm trying to milk it for as much as I can. I only drink them honestly on our shows. I only drink my Oktoberfest on our shows.
So Mario, I love it. You got the Yoshi logo, but your name is Mario. I love it. And I highly, if you're 21, I highly encourage you. That's something we like to do. Have some beer. Sit down, watch the show, watch the live show, have a beer.
Yeah.
Or if beer's not your thing, a rum and Coke, whatever. And we're just chilling and talking sports, talking Mountain West and Big Ten football.
Yeah, and by the end, I say things that I shouldn't. That's what makes this really fun. So let's keep going. We have the Linebacker of the Year award. And I'm so happy to give this to this kid. He has been amazing all season. And we've got to give a shout out to the Mountain West, to UNLV, the Rebels, Jackson Woodard. He has been the captain of this fantastic defense. He's an amazing linebacker. I mean, just an amazing talent. He's an amazing kid. He's run this defense for the Rebels, and the Rebels have a very good defense. If you see what they did against Kansas, who has a really good offense, look at what they did with Boise in their both games. The defense played great in the championship game. UNLV just couldn't score enough points. This defense is a thing of beauty, and they only got better as the game went on. So Jackson Woodard, UNLV, our linebacker of the year.
Dude is an absolute beast. He deserves the award. He deserves all the credit that he's getting. Just fantastic season, fantastic player. So just nothing else I can say. Good on him. I love how everyone's telling us what they're drinking now. Let's make that a thing. Every week, you guys, let us know you're here and let us know what you're drinking. I love it.
And Big Mama says beer is my thing. I don't think that's true. But
I've heard Big Mama is a root beer connoisseur.
Root beer.
And maybe drinks it through in a bottle with a nipple.
Oh my goodness! And you're not drinking.
Yeah, exactly.
And JEH is right. When my speech gets a little, we know we're close to the end of the podcast.
Yes.
All right. So with that, let's go to our what do we do? We just did linebacker. So we're going to go to our D-back of the year, secondary character, and this is coming from the Big Ten again, from the Ohio State University. Fantastic cornerback. Caleb Downs. Or safety. Safety. Caleb Downs. I mean, anywhere you look on people's rankings of that, this kid is at the absolute top in the nation. Yep. Like, he's fantastic. So Caleb Downs, D-back of the year.
So when we did our preseason preview, I said he is the number one portal transfer this year. He transferred from Alabama to Ohio State, and I said he will be the most important portal transfer, the best guy. And yeah, there was some quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel going to Oregon.
Right.
But boy, Caleb Downs, just an absolute beast, a ball hawk. I mean, he's great in coverage as a safety, but also great just hitting people, tackling machine. He has no weaknesses. I think he could play anywhere in the secondary. They put him at safety. Fantastic player. I just can't wait for him. I think he has another year. I don't think he can go in the draft for another year. I can't wait to him to get the heck out of Ohio State and go to the NFL because the dude is just that good of a player.
Yeah.
Just a fantastic player and well-deserved.
Well, let me just say, we hit a topic. Mm-hmm. That being what people are drinking.
All right,
because the chat is going great. I gotta call this one out because it's hilarious.
Okay.
Surf City Bill says he's drinking some Mickey Ultra.
Yeah.
And of course, Drago says that's not alcoholic, and Surf City's Bill says, well, that's what I keep telling the cops, which I think is hilarious. So keep it. And some Johnny Walker from JEH.
Ooh, that's
how you do that.
Good stuff. What label? What color label are we talking about there? JEH. I'll just say to Surf City Bill I got to stick up for him because for us big guys, sometimes we want to have a beer, but we're watching our calories. So
calorie intake is important.
Yes.
Oktoberfest is not low calorie.
Right.
Let me just
that milk stout you gave me last week.
I gave you some seriously strong stuff. Yeah. Darkest beer I think I've ever seen in my life.
Love it.
Okay, so we got one last one. It is the most important one of the entire show or the entire award show. That is the Big Mountain Player of the Year. Probably no surprise. Again, Heisman Genty. We got to do it. I'm banging that drum on X as much as I can. At this point, the votes are in, so I can't convince anyone to change their votes anymore. But Ashton Jeanty, our player of the year, absolutely fantastic. We already talked about him. I don't know how much more love I can give the guy. We've been banging his Heisman drum for since preseason. It's serious. We've been talking about it since
January,
since preseason. So even well before preseason, we've been talking about this kid. So I guess I can say if he wins. I don't want to say you heard it here first because other people were talking about it, but we did talk about it with. We did have AD Dickey on.
Yep.
You asked him about that. You asked him about how much would they be banging the drum and the AD and the university be banging. I think they've done a phenomenal job, respectfully doing that. We've seen some of the things that Hunter has gotten. Yes, ESPN is a Hunter lover right now. That's who they've clearly picked that they want to have win it. I think Boise's done an outstanding job with both their team, promoting them and the Mountain West. I shouldn't say just Boise and the Mountain West, promoting that team and this player to heights that we've never seen before. I mean, this is a truly historic season for this conference and this team.
I got one thing to say. And
Do
it's
it.
Very important. Jeanty for Heisman.
Love it. Oh my goodness. NIU, he's talking Guinness Brewery in Chicago.
Let's do it.
I'm in. Guinness is my jam.
Drink some Guinness, eat some deep dish pizza.
I don't need to eat anything. I just want to drink a lot of Guinness. As some people say, that's changing your oil. That's what a friend of mine says. I'm like, I call that something different. But I like
checking. You're thinking of checking.
That's
oil.
what
Okay.
it was.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Guinness, and I am a massive Guinness fan. So thank you, Eric. If we make it out, my goal here is to visit the Mountain West members and absolutely visiting the new Mountain West members.
Yeah.
And that leads us to our next topic, unless there's something else you need to...
Real men drink Guinness. That's all.
Well,
I
that's
say,
true.
yeah.
I amen to that. All right, let's get to some Mountain West information. Yes.
So that college football guy, Bill, he just let us know Jeanty won the Doak Walker, which is the top running back. I think it's top running back, not top player, but top running back from what I remember, which is great. Good for him. I'm glad he's getting some love.
Yes, deserve it. Thank you for telling us that. The other Bill, the first Bill, that college football guy. So let's get to some of our breaking news. That's right. He's bringing it to us right now. Breaking news from that college football guy. So thank you, sir. So let's get to some Mountain West updates. Nothing real new to talk about. I just want to kind of bring it full circle. I've done a few episodes here recently. Of course, UC Davis announced earlier this week as the newest member. I haven't really talked to you about this. I don't know. I want to see if you have any opinions about it. But I did a little bit of a deeper dive on this school. I know we had at least one UC Davis fan chime in here a little bit earlier. And I'll tell you what. In terms of a university, like I don't want to talk athletics yet. I want to talk university. You couldn't want much more in the Mountain West. I mean, great enrollment, fantastic endowment, great research, something that the Big Ten loves to talk about, AAU research, all that kind of stuff. And that's not necessarily what the Mountain West is looking for per se, but it speaks to the depth of a university. It's in that Sacramento State area. We've talked a lot about Sacramento State. Had Josh Wood from the Sac-12, Pac-12, or Sac-12, I guess it was, committee come on. Him talking about Sacramento and that area and them being underserved in terms of their athletics. The only thing they have professionally is the Kings there, the basketball team, and that's why Sac State wants to move into another conference. And Davis is just outside of the city. I mean, it is basically suburb Sacramento. I mean, it's the same type of deal. And so it wasn't really on our bingo card. We talked about them briefly a few times way back when. We haven't talked about them recently. But in terms of a university, my goodness, if you can't get much of a better base in terms of what this university is bringing to the Mountain West. I'll get into athletics here maybe in a little bit, but what were your thoughts when you saw UC Davis?
So back when we did a couple months ago, time flies when we're having fun, but we did like a breakdown of candidates for the Mountain West, where they should be looking. And we were looking we were talking about a bunch of different schools.
Yeah.
But I gave my 3 priorities, not necessarily schools, but where what they should be looking for.
Yep.
And those 3 priorities were get back into California.
Yep.
get into Texas,
Yep.
and get another school in the Central Time Zone.
Right.
So honestly, I'm pretty sure. I mean, in Gloria we trust.
That's right.
She's already on top of all that stuff,
Yes.
but also maybe they've been watching the show a little bit because they're getting into Texas. They're looking at another school in the Central Time Zone that's outside of Texas, and they're getting back into California.
Right.
I mean, those are the three areas to make themselves more marketable, to get into those population bases, to increase their media value and have growth potential. Those are the three areas in my mind they have to concentrate on, and they are.
Yes.
Some of the schools we were all over Sac State for a while. That hasn't happened yet. We'll see.
Right.
But this move right now, I think makes the most sense for college basketball and making your other Olympic programs good. Obviously, it doesn't seem like they're ready to make that jump yet for football because they're not football for now. But I do see potential. I could see in 4 or 5 years the potential of them bringing their football program up to that level. If you want, there's something like Grand Canyon. I mean, they don't have a football program, so that's not an option.
Right.
But for now, for this move, I would say I like it. They're maybe not. Well, they're a very good basketball program in the West Coast Conference. I believe they play.
They're in the Big West.
Okay, Big West.
they are
So
right now.
I like it from basketball. I like it from the school size of the school, getting back into California. I like all of those things, and I do think there's the potential in the future, the growth potential for football. So I like it. It's a good move.
Well, I would say I think football is more like 2 or 3, in my opinion. I don't think it's 5 to 10. And I agree with you. We have asked them for another California school. They lost 2. They lost San Diego State and Fresno. Call this the Fresno replacement, and I don't mean they're equal to Fresno, so please don't mistake me in that. But in terms of geography and being in California, they needed another university, and I didn't know where that was coming from. Very limited in Southern California, and quite frankly, UNLV could tap into the LA market to some degree. That's not that far.
Yeah.
There's a lot of transition between those two cities. So, UNLV may be at this point their best bet in any sort of Southern California tapping into that market in any sort of degree. And so I agree with you. And actually, I just had, I was invited onto the Pit Press podcast. I talked about this with Ricky, and I said the exact same thing. This gets them another school, a Cali school. And I said, that's exactly what we were asking for. So we didn't know it was going to be UC Davis.
Yes.
And I think that probably surprised a lot of people. But I'm not surprised that it's another Cali school. And I'm also not surprised that it's close to Sacramento, being that growing city. They're yearning for more of that type of athletics. And I will say, from the football side of things, I touched on this. I talked about this at the update yesterday. I think there's probably reasons why football isn't here yet, and maybe the biggest one being facilities, because they're only at a 10K stadium right now. If they're gonna move that, they're gonna want to upgrade their facilities, to which they have a plan in place, but they need financing and all that, some time to build it, all that kind of stuff. And then also, they don't want to take themselves out of the FCS playoffs right now. They're number 5, and they're in the quarters right now. They got a darn good football team right now. So they don't want to mess that up. Of course, as everybody knows, if you transfer to FBS, you're already going to be on a 2-year probation that you can't. So why give yourself a 3 or 4 year probation if you don't have to? So I really think football is going to come here within the next 2 or 3 years. We'll have to wait and see if that's the case. But I agree with you. I think the Cali play is the main play here for this. Not a knock on the university, but they had to get another school back in Cali.
Totally agree. So that college football guy was breaking news. Tyler Warren from Penn State wins the Mackey Award, and maybe we were maybe a little remiss of not having that as one of our awards. But you can only have so many awards on the Big Mountain. Only room for so many people at the top of the Big Mountain. But
That's true.
Tyler Warren, fantastic tight end this year. James Franklin said they should just go ahead, put the trophy, the Mackey Award, on a plane and send it to State College and just give it to Tyler Warren a couple weeks ago. And just an absolute beast all season. Was really the catalyst for their offense at the tight end position, which you don't see. He had a play, we talked about it. He had a play where he snapped the ball as the center.
Right.
And then because of the weird formation they did, he was an eligible receiver and then ran down the field and caught a contested catch over 2 players for a touchdown pass, which I never have seen in my life. I've been watching college football for 40 years, and I've never seen the guy who snaps it go down and catch a touchdown pass. But the guy was just amazing all season. So well-deserved Tyler Warren from Penn State with the Mackey Award.
Yeah, and Surf City Bill says about the stadium, no stadium that he knows of. Like I said, 10,000 seat stadium, not a big stadium, an FCS type of stadium, but there are plans to expand that. Ricky White, Special Teams Player of the Year, absolutely. That's fantastic. Well deserving. He did everything.
Yes.
He was fun to watch on every side of the ball.
Return
Special
punts.
teams,
Didn't he cover punts or something?
He was blocking them.
Yeah, blocking a
He
punt.
was
That's
going there
right.
and
Yes,
blocking
a
them
punt,
or
yeah.
scooping the fumble and
Yeah.
scooping the block. That's awesome. Good to hear. So I just want to say the other piece to this, I want to get to GCU. I'll talk real quick about the lawsuit. I just did an update on that as well. But Arizona was a spot that I was like, it'd be great if they could get around Phoenix, but there's nothing there. There's no football there. Well, what do? They add GCU. Now I get it. We're a football pod. GCU doesn't have football, but guess what? They're in Phoenix. And guess what GCU just did? They beat Arizona and Arizona State, 2 schools that are super shady about GCU right now because they're coming out of nowhere.
Yep.
And I think there's other reasons why too, but I'm going to keep it on the sports side. And they're blowing through Arizona. So, you often looked at that map and I went, it'd be great if they could get there, but there's nobody there to be had. Wrong. They get GCU. So, I think that was a fantastic ad too in terms of our map.
Huge growth potential.
Yes.
We talked about, great for basketball because they're losing some of their big basketball brands.
They are.
Well, bringing in GCU, they are the hot up and coming brand the last 5 years in college basketball. They've been getting into the tournament. They're knocking off the big boys. So great move there. And someone mentioned now go get NIU and Tarleton. I totally agree. Again, those are 2 candidates you and I have been on for a long time. They were on our map. Respect the map, okay?
Respect the map.
And I agree. I would have. I still don't know exactly the situation with Tarleton and the football program and all that stuff, but for me, it's a no-brainer. Growth potential, and that's what the Mountain West needs to be looking at right now. Is yes, they want to put together the best teams for a media deal right now, but also let's look at 5 years from now. Let's look at who has growth potential,
right? And
all the schools they're targeting. Grand Canyon with basketball, NIU, Tarleton, and I think UC Davis as well. Growth potential.
I agree. Well, real quick, I want to talk about the lawsuit. I'm not going to get into it much. If you want more information on the GCU West Coast Conference lawsuit, I just dropped an episode about 7-8 minutes long, just based on the statements that have come out. I don't have anything else other than what came out of the WCC and GCU. But of course, there was a lawsuit filed in federal court that the West Coast Conference is saying that GCU does owe both the entrance fee and the exit fee for the West Coast Conference. If you want more information on that, check out that episode just when we're done here. Real short, but I lay it out for you. And I wanted to make sure we hit on that here as well. Yeah.
We created a college football betting picks podcast.
Yeah.
And what we've ended up falling into is being a legal analysis podcast just as much. All the different lawsuits we've covered, and there's more to come.
Yeah.
So, the PAC lawsuits, the Mountain West lawsuits, the ACC, FSU, Clemson, North Carolina, everywhere, all the sports lawsuits, we've got them covered.
So last thing I want to talk about is NIU and maybe just a little bit about Tarleton. So we all know NIU hit the news here, I believe it was yesterday, that they have been given an invite to the Mountain West for football only. Yes, there was a trustee meeting or regents meeting. I believe it's trustees meeting today. It was not on the agenda. I listened to the public portion. Yes, believe it or not, I listened to some of the public portion. It wasn't talked about, not surprising, but they did go into an executive private session after that. A lot of rumors and thinking that was one of the things they may be talking about. A lot of the reporting is that this is imminent. And as I told Ricky today, I was talking with him for the Pitt Press show, that I believe, we're a betting podcast. So I am betting that NIU for football only will be in the Mountain West. I give it a good 70 to 80% chance that they will accept this invite and they will move their other sports to another conference in that general area. So that is my take on this. I think it's going to happen, and I think it's a really good addition to the Mountain West for football. It gets them into that Chicago market. It's a strong football school there. They've done really well on the MAC. They say they're ready for a step up, and I think they fit really good with the Mountain West. So I am really excited, if this happens, that the Huskies will be a football school in the Mountain West moving forward. That's what I got for them.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic move for the Mountain West. You and I have been in favor of it for a while. It's just really about Northern Illinois and their decision makers. What do they want to do? Do they want to split up and send football to the Mountain West and then find a new home for their other ones? I think they will for their Olympic sports. They're going. All signs to me point to the Missouri Valley Conference,
agree,
which I think is a fantastic idea. Really good conference in basketball and all those other sports. And, I like to look at big picture, college football, college sports. Last year we did our, in the offseason we did our college football 2030 project where we looked at a lot of big picture stuff. I think this move here is going to be kind of a trend setter, and you will see a lot of programs moving forward as conference realignment still goes, because it's going to still go, where teams will send their football program, or maybe football and basketball, their revenue generating programs as we move into the era of the house settlement and all of that, to bigger conferences to make more money, to pool that value, and then put their Olympic sports, non-revenue generating sports, into local or regional conferences. That just makes a lot more sense. I really see Northern Illinois doing that, and I think that is going to be the trend going forward. As we move on.
So NIU might be at the forefront of this change. This might be one of the first schools that we're seeing do this. And this, to your point, this might become the norm for a lot of these, at least conference schools, G6 conference schools. And yes, I agree with Will and Eric. They're basically saying that this doesn't come public, like a formal offer was made, unless it's most likely going to happen. And I fully agree with Will. I wanted to say this, that it's likely just waiting formal board approval. Like, the school wants to do it, the AD, the Prez, everybody wants to do it. They're making the recommendation to the board of trustees, and the formality of it actually being blessed by them is probably where we're at. So yes, I agree with you, Will. And Eric, that it's probably more of a formality at this point than anything. And I'm hopeful my next Mountain West show is going to be me welcoming the Huskies to the Mountain West. I hope that's the next show that we get to do. All right, so last thing I want to say here, and then we're just going to see if we'll check on any commenters. We'll talk a little bit about Heisman, and then we'll wrap it up. I want to talk Tarleton real quick.
Love it.
Real quick. I think they're still on the board. I really do. It's still hitting all the marks that Steve mentioned, being in that Texas area, being in Central, especially if they get NIU. I think they're going to want to have another school that's in the Central time zone. I also think North Dakota State potentially could be on the board. I see more wishy-washy on that in terms of whether they can, whether they can't. Some people say they got plenty of money. Other people say, no, they don't want anything to do with it. I know the AD did just come out and say, we want to, strive to be at the highest level, which is what most ADs are going to say. So I'm not 100% sure where North Dakota is. I know I said there may be the fallback to NIU. I don't think there is any fallback to NIU because I think NIU is going to go. So I would say let's keep our eye on Tarleton. And people would say, well, what do you mean? There's been no news about Tarleton for a while. Remember, NIU was the first news that came out about an addition. It has now taken us, I believe, 3 months until we know an invite is officially on the table. So the Tarleton news came about a month after, and I just looked at this, about a month after the NIU and Toledo news came out. So I'm telling you, Tarleton is still on the table. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm telling you, it's still on the table. We love it because it's in the heart of Texas. It's an up-and-coming program. They have the funding. They want to do it. They're in the Central time zone. I know I keep repeating myself, but I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I do still think it's on the table.
Yeah, I still love it. I've been a proponent of it from basically the very beginning. Once we started doing a little bit of research, once I saw their facilities and their investment in their facilities,
Yeah.
I think it'll still stay on the board. We had some smart people before suggest to us that there was kind of a delay or kind of a hold until the House settlement gets
Right.
finalized and whatever, of bringing it up anybody else up to FBS. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but if it does, I think April timeframe, because there's no, to me, Tarleton, it's not a rush. I don't think they need to add them tomorrow to negotiate their media deal. For me, that's more of a growth, long-term growth opportunity, Tarleton State.
Right.
So if that is the case, if there is any pressure, they could wait. I think the House settlement is due to be finalized in April, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Because they had to give it a certain amount of time and whatever, and it's going to have to go before a judge. So, maybe that is a late spring or summer news that we have, because I don't think that there's a rush there, but I still think, like you said, they're on the board. Honestly, if they get NIU locked up, that's really what they need right now.
Right.
They don't need to move any further in a hurry, because they can go from there and be in a good spot to negotiate their media deal and
Right.
all that stuff.
Right.
I've been skeptical for a long time about the North Dakota State, mostly, like you said, if they weren't getting NIU, it would be a good backup plan. But if you get NIU, I don't know how much North Dakota State adds. I mean, they add, it's fun. It would be great to see them playing. It'd be entertaining to see them playing football in the Mountain West. But there are some serious questions of what they add financially to the conference, and do they have there's still questions, do they have the resources to move up? Some people say yes, absolutely, it'll be easy, but then other people doubt it and have questions. So to me, I in that order, I would say obviously Northern Illinois, still keep Tarleton on the burner, and to me, North Dakota State kind of fallen off the edge of the table there. We'll see.
Well, Justin, I just want to mention we have been told that Tarleton wants it to be the complete package.
Yes.
They want everything. They do not want football only. I can't speak for the Mountain West, but we do know Tarleton wants to bring the entire athletic department for the Mountain West sponsored sports anyway into the Mountain West. So I do not think it would be just a football thing. I think it would be the complete package with Tarleton. And I agree with you. I'd love to see the complete package as well. So, all right, let's get to last thing. Let's get to Heisman. I got to beat the drum one last time because it's this weekend. So it's the last time we're going to talk about it until next week, when I'm either celebrating or bitching. I'm not sure which it'll be. But Genty Heisman, he's got to win this thing, or Heisman Genty, or Genty for Heisman, or however the hell you want to say it. Ashton Genty, Heisman Genty, whatever. I made myself very well known on X that I am a Genty proponent, banging his drum as much as I can. Votes are in. I don't know which way it's going to go, but we got to get Ash the daggone Heisman here, Steve.
So before I give my thoughts, Big Mama keeps asking about a CFP bracket challenge.
Oh my!
I don't think we're doing that. We are doing a bowl pick'em. Well, we're picking all the bowls,
Right,
including a college football playoff. So that's pretty much what we're going to stick with this year. As far as Genty for Heisman, we've been on that drum. I think he deserves the award. Right now, Travis Hunter is the odds-on favorite to win.
Yeah.
But Genty's still in there as far as odds go.
Yeah.
But nobody knows how the votes went. And I want people should think about, people who think that it's done, it's signed, sealed, and delivered. Travis Hunter should think about two things. One, I've seen a lot of polling, just fan polls and whatever, and they're going like 2-1 in favor of Genty.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fans who want Genty. It seems to be like the big media talking heads who are really pushing Travis Hunter. The other thing I want to talk about is, and I brought this up on another episode, and this has hurt Penn State before years ago when they had two candidates.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can split that vote.
Yeah.
Penn State had years, and there's other teams that had years where they promote. It's not a good move for a school to promote two people.
Right.
And Colorado, when they sent out their promotional materials, they promoted Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter equally as two equal candidates, which I think was really, from a strategic sense, was dumb on their standpoint. From their standpoint, so that may have just been enough. You split the vote a little bit. There's a lot of fan sentiment for Ashton Genty, so maybe he wins it. I think he deserves to win it. Unfortunate that the ESPN narrative has been that Travis Hunter has this locked up and running away with it. But for me, it's Ashton Jeanty for Heisman.
I can tell you the only people, and I don't follow that many people on X, so I'm not the end all be all with this. But I can tell you the only people on X that I see pounding the Travis Hunter drum are, of course, CU fans. Of course.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or not even pounding his drum, but crapping on Jeanty is what I more see, because they comment on my posts and be like, is CU fans, or the people that are banging the drum, the media folk banging the drum. I don't get a lot of fans from anywhere else saying, oh, it shouldn't be Ashton Jeanty. I to your point, I see a lot more fans and people saying it should be Ashton Jeanty. If you take out some of the media, big media talking heads, and the Buffalo fans, it is dramatically in favor of Ashton Jeanty. Yep. Now, I don't mean he's going to win, but man, I think he's got a really good shot at it.
So Mario says that we should continue TBM into the basketball season. We just did a Mountain West basketball preview. Is that hit the?
It is, yes.
Yep.
Published on Tuesday.
Okay, so published on Tuesday. We just did a preview. Last year we covered primarily Mountain West basketball all the way up to the tournament. And I'm sure we'll probably do the same thing again this year.
We will definitely be probably doing a little more basketball than we did last year, but we do continue TBM throughout the whole season.
Yes.
We continue. We're going to keep doing live shows. May hit a few in the summer months because of vacays and all that kind of jazz. But last year we're all football all the time. So we're going to stay on all of this Mountain West stuff. We're going to stay on PAC stuff because it is coming. And we're going to be doing all football all the time. We do hope to dabble maybe a little bit more into basketball because we had Ricky come on, and but we're not educated enough, or I'm not educated enough in basketball. But I know the Mountain West has a great basketball pedigree.
Yep.
We've sent, what was it, 6 to the daggone tourney. Maybe we'll send hopefully for 3. Maybe we can push for 4. But maybe more likely 3 this year. So we'll probably stay on some basketball stuff. Don't expect it weekly. But we will do it every so often, and we'll absolutely do one heading into the Mountain West championship tournament, and of course heading into the NCAA tournament. We'll absolutely be covering that. So, all right. Well, with that, I think we done skis.
Jeanty for Heisman.
Jeanty for Heisman. Thank you guys for coming on. Had a great commenters, some new peeps. Good to see you all. Had some UC Davis, had some Pokes, had some NIU fans. It's fantastic. Love all these new members for the Mountain West. Hopefully you guys appreciated our awards. I know I saw a lot of people liking some of the picks that we had. So again, if you didn't already, make sure you like this live episode and subscribe. I'm sure you already are, but subscribe if you like our content. We'll see you guys next time on The Big Mountain.